Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fitness Hustle. I'm Amy Moreland, and this episode is all about goals. Let's get them. All right? Everybody has goals. Everybody should have goals. Some may be big, some may be small, and you may actually have some goals that when you set them, they might seem impossible. But no goal is impossible. And what's big to some people might seem small to others, and that's fine. We all have our own kind of goals that we need to have. And that's okay. Let's not compare my goal to my husband's goal to my friend's goal. It doesn't matter. Set a goal for yourself that you want to be able to accomplish. And this may be in fitness, this may be in work, this may be with money, this may be with self-care, this could be with anything. But we need to set some goals. I want to give you 5 tips in this video, in this podcast, to help reach those goals. Because let's be realistic. A lot of times people set goals and then they never happen. We forget about them, or they become too hard, or we don't want to put in the work. You think about New Year's resolutions, right? Everybody means well when they start those New Year's resolutions, but whatever the statistics are, by February, March, those are done and gone. They've forgotten about them and people just, they're in the past. I want to help you so that those goals that you set, you meet and continue to set more goals. And we should have goals all the time. We can have goals in our work life and goals in our family life at the same time. So I'm hoping that these 5 tips will help make those goals smoother and that journey and that process a lot more comfortable. So let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is all about SMART goals. We need to be smart. And SMART stands for something. So let me go through what each of the letters stand for, and hopefully this helps you. So the first one, S. We want to be specific. We want to be very specific with our goal. It's not just good to put a goal out there to say, I want to run far, or I want to make tons of money. Okay, that's great. But let's get a little bit more specific. Let's want to run a marathon, or let's run a 5K, or let's start a new side hustle job that's going to earn us $1,000 a month. Let's start with something very specific to be able to meet that goal. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, the M. It needs to be measurable. We need to be able to measure those milestones, right? So say that we're going to run a marathon. There's going to be milestones along the way, right? There's going to be a 5K, there's going to be a half marathon, there's going to be running or doing the whole thing without walking or stopping at all. There's going to be those little milestones and those little measures along the way. And we need to kind of put those out there. Let's start with 1, then move and go up and go up and go up. So measurable. The A stands for achievable. Now, again, going back to that very beginning where I said everything may seem impossible, and nothing's impossible, but we do want to make sure that they make sense and they're achievable. So to say I want to make $1,000 next month with a new job does not mean that my goal should also have that I'm going to hit the lotto, or I'm going to win the lottery, or I'm going to do this. Like, that may not be achievable. All right, so we need to make sure that that is in our realm. R, relevant. So same type of thing. We need to make sure it's relevant to us, relevant to the person setting the goal, and relevant to the overall goal. So me saying that I want to run a marathon is not necessarily, it's not relevant to me. I don't want to run a marathon. I have other goals. So you need to make sure that it's relevant to your overall kind of what you want to do. And again, everybody's going to have their own thing, and that's okay. And then the last thing, T, it stands for time. You need to have a timeline to be able to meet this goal. So again, say that it's to run a marathon. Great. You're not going to go out and run the marathon tomorrow. with all those measures and all those things that we have, there's also a timeline that needs to be acceptable to hit that goal. So it's September 2020 right now. If I want to run a marathon, maybe a more realistic thing is to say, all right, in a year from now, when there's the Pittsburgh Marathon, I'm going to run in that marathon. Now I've set a timeline for that goal of a year, or whenever that marathon would be, September, whatever. And I've got those milestones along the way that's achievable. And I also have it very specific. So you're meeting all those SMART goals to get to that end result, which is that marathon next September. Now, SMART goals is just one of the pieces or one of the tips to hit that goal. All right, so tip number 2. Once you have that goal and you've kind of made sure that it's SMART, I want you to write the goal down and then write it again and then write it again. Make a habit of writing down this goal, and it's going to seem more real. Get in the habit of every morning writing down your goal. Writing down that goal, it's going to put it that you're not going to forget it. It's going to seem real, and it's going to remind you of where you're going. So it's a great tip to write it down. And like I said, you could write it over and over and over to believe it and make sure that you got it. Tip number 3, I want you to write it down, but I also want you to tell people. I want you to tell people what your goal is. And sometimes putting it out there to other people, it holds you accountable, but it kind of puts that into the universe, right? That you're going to have this goal. And now I've told people about it. So I've really got to do this because they're expecting me to, to do this goal and to hit this. So I really want to work towards it now. So it could be a little bit mental, but telling those people and then having them follow up with all those milestones that we talked about with the SMART goals, that's going to just kind of fuel the process. So write them down as tip number 2. Number 3 is tell people. Tell them in person, call them, text them, tell them on Facebook, but let them know what those goals are. Be proud of those goals and let them help motivate you to reach them. Number 4, the 4th tip, it's a pretty good one. You need to celebrate those little milestones along the way. So yes, you have that goal that you want to run the marathon in a year. All right, but you've got to be able to run a mile first. And then when you do that, celebrate it. Be proud of it. Don't go, oh my gosh, I still have, so long to go. Take the little pieces and celebrate all those milestones. So you go from a mile to a 5K. You go from a 5K to the half marathon. You go from that half marathon, you start watching your time. Then you go to the marathon and then you go with time. There's always going to be those little accomplishments along the way, and celebrate them and be proud of them and write those down. Tell those to other people and celebrate them out there and be proud of them. The most important tip though out of all the different tips is you need to believe in yourself. So number 5 of the top 5 tips is believe in yourself. It's all about mindset when it comes to goals, when it comes to anything. If you believe that you can do it, you can. You know that quote out there, if you believe you can or you can't, you're right? It's all how you think about it. So you need to believe in yourself from the moment that you set that goal till the moment that you accomplish the goal. With all the ups and downs, and yes, we're going to have those celebratory, we're going to be able to celebrate those little victories, and we're also going to have the days where we don't want to wake up, where we don't feel like doing whatever. We don't feel good. We're tired. We stayed up too late. We're lazy. We're all going to have those, and don't let those get in the way. Come back from them and just come back stronger, write down those goals, keep going, and move on. You need to believe in yourself the whole entire process. All right, so let's talk about some goals, right? Like I said at the very beginning, you can have goals fitness-wise, you can have goals career-wise. We should really have goals in a bunch of different categories. And I want you to think of those goals and think of all those different tips to start breaking them down. I also want to know what are your goals? So I want you to comment and tell me, what are those goals? Remember about telling people and writing them down? Let's do it. Let's put it out there, what those goals are and how we're going to achieve them. So share on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, comment below and let me know your goals. And we'll be cheering the whole entire time for you and keep up with your progress. This is a great way to help each other out. We'll have a community of people cheering you on for any goal, big or small. That's what we're about. So I'm going to end today with kind of a little thing that, and I didn't put this in my top goals, or my top tips, but something that's helped me kind of get into that mindset. Because remember, I said number 5, that tip, believe in yourself. And sometimes you're just like, ugh, I can't. I just can't. So you'll notice I have this sweatshirt on, and I have these bracelets, and I want to just mention this company. They're called Leclé. And the reason why I wanted to do this for this episode was because it really kind of feeds into the goals. And I know you can't see this, but I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on there. But it's a company that makes these bands. They're refocus bands. And the whole point is you've got this really cool design, and there's all different kinds of designs, but then you flip it and there's a saying inside, a quote, something to motivate you. And I've said a lot of times, I've been known to say this, people say I say it too much. I always would say, you got this. And they have a bracelet that says, you got this. So it was my first bracelet. I now own, I don't even know, probably like 15 of them because I love them so much. But the purpose of these refocus bracelets is you wear them, and then when something gets, you get to that point where you're like, you need to refocus, right? You need to really dig in and believe. You flip it and that quote pops out, and you read it and you look at it and you believe it. And I love it. I have them now for my kids. Their friends have used them. It's just one of those little ways to just kind of switch your mindset to get you back on track. So I'm going to put a link below so that you can go ahead if you want to and purchase this. It got so many different sayings on them. You know, you got this. There's one about the hustle. There's one about believing in yourself. Don't stop. There's so many of them. And whatever fits your goal, your narrative is one that's perfect for you. So the link below, if you use that link, you'll get $5 off your first order, your first bracelet. And I hope you enjoy. So go check them out, and I'll talk to you next time.